thing. If we're having a few issues with the events section and streaming and getting guests in. So we're streaming live from the usual link. So if you are scheduled for the event and you're here now, just delete that event thing. Hopefully y'all see that in your thing. Today we are talking about the Beyond Success, the pyramid of success, based on the legendary teachings of Coach John Wooden, one of the greatest coaches of all time, with our dear friend Brian Biro. And today's Sales Chatter is going to kick it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
Well, here we go. And you know what? Lisa took Jeff again this morning by 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
And Jeff was on the show yesterday, so he forfeited yesterday's event. But it looks like Lisa's like the reigning champ here on and on again. So I don't know, Jeff, we got to get you up a little bit earlier or something. I don't know.
We got to get some swag for Lisa.
Definitely. Brian, welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming back again. And I know we said we'll do it once a month, and I'm so excited to talk about today because this was the first book, and you can see. So, look at that chat there.
Who's that guy with that mustache? I don't know.
Isn't that a great looking dude? And so, Brian, I actually bought this book when I met you at the Bob Proctor Matrix event that we talked about last time you were on. And I got this with all your CDs and all of, just amazing stuff.
What's a
amazing
CD? They used to have these things called CDs, didn't they?
What
is that?
What is a CD?
That's old technology, brother.
Huge. I remember having like a case in my car that was just about this big, and it was like just 2 CDs, and it was like a big binder of CDs, and it was all of my Automobile University and the Allison story. I know I hit you up with that quite a bit. 45-minute story to tell it in 5 minutes and all that, but it's just one of those things where now you got it all and you can carry it in something smaller than this, and you can carry 15,000 times the amount. But so this Beyond Success, Brian, truly an amazing book. It was pre-Dan tabs, so I've got a bunch of ears going on in here, as you could probably see. So let's just share it. Let's just start. I don't know if your thing froze because you're showing me as you got a low bar here. Network connection is 1 out of 10, and there's Brian gone. So
right.
Audibles all the time, brother. Audibles, it's awesome. So there's Brian. He's back now.
Make a joke about technology, and then technology goes all wrong.
That's right.
I know. So I guess let's start right at the beginning. Let's talk about Beyond Success, Brian. What does going beyond success mean?
Well, great. I think you just asked me. I'm having a hard time hearing, but Beyond Success. I thought of the title. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
We're good.
Okay. I keep getting the sign that says "Oops." That's my normal technology sign. Is "Oops." The title Beyond Success was really at the heart of what made John Wooden so extraordinary. Many people have tried to figure out what was it about that. For those who don't know, John Wooden was the greatest college basketball coach of all time. His teams at UCLA won 10 national championships in 12 years. So a context to that, no other coach in men's college history has won more than 5 in 42 years. Although John Wooden, this will really get at the heart of who he was, would have been the first to tell you he didn't win any championships in the first 27 years that he coached. He used to say, it's what you learn after you know everything that makes the difference. So a humble man, a brilliant man. But as I said, many try to figure out what was it that made him different than everybody else? What was it that allowed him to create that kind of remarkable record? And at the heart of that was his definition of success, which was so unusual. In 27 years at UCLA, the greatest coach of all time never said the words winning or losing to his players. He never said the words. Now, did he want to win? Oh, yeah. He wanted to win in a powerful way. But what he wanted more was for his players, his coaches, himself to just grab a hold of and hang on tenaciously to a definition of success that focused on controlling your controllables. And his definition was success is peace of mind. And it comes from knowing that you've given the best of which you're capable. In other words, if you have to look at the scoreboard to know if you're successful, if you have to look at outside kinds of signs, you don't know because you don't control those. What you control is what you put in, your effort, your energy, your attitude. And so it was that definition that went beyond the definition of success of anyone else that I've ever heard in that field, that he not only used the words, he lived it every single day. And that really was at the heart of why I wanted to call this Beyond Success, because I think so many people feel like they're not successful for the wrong reasons. He actually came to him when he was a teacher. Coach Wooden also taught English, and he would get frustrated when parents would get angry with their children for getting a B. And yet he thought that particular child had done an incredible job about putting their heart into it. Maybe English wasn't their strongest suit, but that B was worth an A+ for somebody who was loafing around. And so he really wanted to start that shift in focus, to focus on what you put in. And he used to wink at you and say, good things will come out.
I love that you said that, because in sales, there's a lot of that, right? Obviously, I mean, you're in a department, you see all these other sales reps crushing it when it comes to quotas and all that, and you feel like you're putting in everything, but wow, it's crazy. DJ and I were just talking about this off air. And DJ, maybe share that story if you wouldn't mind, because I think that dips right into it, how that can make us feel if we focus on that external as opposed to the internal.
Which story are you talking about?
The story about the rental car that you have.
You guys got so many stories, we can't
stop.
Yes,
okay. We're talking about so many things before the show. We were talking about a few different things. The rental car, yes. So rental car, ended up getting this is crazy. I don't even know why I shared this, but I guess you're right, Dan. Yeah, it is. So I am not a material person. Nothing about me is flashy. I don't really like it. I actually kind of makes me feel weird. That's why I don't like to even dress up. I don't like suits. I don't like any of that. Well, I ended up getting a free upgrade to a convertible Mustang. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. But then watching people, the way they look at me now compared to if I was driving my own regular car, is like, I'm the same person. Why are you looking at me like that? Well, I'm just the same person. Like, but it's just they're seeing this car, this other thing, and they're now putting me somewhere else instead of just I'm me. I'm still me. Like, this doesn't change me. And so I told Dan, I'm like, even when I can afford something like that, I don't think I will get that now, because I just don't even like that feeling of like these people looking at me like, why do you have that? Or like, who are you? Or what is this? Or what? And it's like, I'm nobody. And this should not be why you're looking at me like that. Actually learn who I am, and maybe you'll know who I really am.
So, and I know Brian will hit it. You are somebody.
Well, okay, but you know what I'm saying. It's people look at this stuff and they're like, they think it's stuff. They think it's these, because I'm walking around with the Starbucks and an iPhone. And again, I mean, it's the status of it. It's this persona, this other person, this box that I think the world says, well, once you have this, you're somebody. And it's like,
you've made it. You're somebody. Yeah.
You're somebody always. Like, come on.
DJ, you're getting at the heart of what that definition of success is based upon. And really what I love more than anything else about John Wooden, there were a million things I loved. That the man was my friend, wrote the foreword to my book, all that's nice. But it was the simple, powerful wisdom that he had. And here's what you just said. You just told a story that hits the essence of that definition of success and the definition of John Wooden. He used to say often, be more concerned with your character than your reputation.
Yes.
He said, because your character is who you are. Your reputation, only what others think you are. And if you'll focus on your reputation, this is my add-on to that. if you focus on your character, sooner or later it will merge and become your reputation. But that's it. That other stuff it's focus on what you put in, on who you are. But there's another side to that needs to be really focused on. He's not saying don't care about results. You want to get results.
Yeah.
But the key is focus on the things you do to get those results, and then be flexible enough to change your approach slightly as you move forward. This is a huge part of it. Well, the thing about John Wooden also that I love more than anything was his humility. He was a humble man. Now, too many people mistake and think that humility means you can't be confident. You can't be successful. And they're so wrong, because you can be incredibly humble, all right, and very successful, all right, and very confident, because being humble doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It means you think of yourself less. But the reason why humility is so crucial is only those who are actually humble are lifelong learners. Only those who are humble would rather be wrong and learn something from it and adjust their course than to worry about always trying to look good and try to be right. And so that was John Wooden in a nutshell. This was the greatest coach of all time. And every single off season, he would study a new element in his field in basketball to try to get better. So he would find out, for example, I'll just give you an example. He heard about a high school coach in Southern California who had a great way of teaching rebounding. So John Wooden, who by this time has won 9 national championships, is called the Wizard of Westwood, shows up at this high school coach's camp, taking notes, learning everything from him. The high school coach looks over, sees John Wooden, goes, "Oh my gosh, who's here in the stands?" That was him, though. He was always seeking to learn more, whether it be about the physical aspects or whether it be about the psychological aspects of the sport. That combination of focus on your character, focus on controlling your controllables, and then adjust your course. It's called teleological thinking. Now, what that means is if we shoot a rocket from the Earth to the moon, does it go straight?
No.
No way. Because it is, both of them are moving, for one thing, as is success sometimes. We're not stagnant. We're not linear. You're going to go right by the moon and be lost in space. Here's a simpler one for anybody involved in transportation. If you're driving that big rig and you hold the wheel still, you're going in a ditch. All right. Because you got to make constant adjustments. All right. And so when you combine that focus on what you put in with working, and if it's not working, change your approach. So if you're doing that, that's how you get to be 10 national championships. That's how.
Yes,
it is. It's the exact way you become the best version of yourself is by focusing. I remember a gentleman who was originally a student and became a really good friend and business partner, Ryan. He once said, I said, "Ryan, obviously in my quest for trying to create the next great product for salespeople, help them raise the bar, I asked him, I said, what keeps you up at night?" Because that's the infamous question, right? What keeps your customer up at night? What keeps you up at night? And he says, nothing. And he goes, "Dan, I put in everything I can put in every day." And he goes, like, if I know I didn't work today, he goes, I'll definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, I'll go to bed at night saying I need to do better. But he says, every day I put my head down on the pillow. And every day with my head down on the pillow, I can say that I put in my best effort today. I worked my best. I worked as my highest self. And he goes, and I sleep great at night. And that one comment to me stopped me in my tracks. I went, wow, that's pretty incredible. And it's funny, Brian, because when he said that to me, I went back to your book. And I went back. And one of the first philosophies I read when I really started this massive climb to my own personal greatness was that. And it's from the book. And I was like, wow. And it's amazing how things come back. We're talking what, 2008? So, like 2007, 2008. So we're talking a long time ago that I got this book, and it's amazing how things come full circle. So yeah, I mean, and especially as a sales rep, right? We're in a room with so many other people. We see so many other reps walk through. When you go and get interviewed, or when you go and apply for a job to be a sales rep, they typically bring you to the top echelon of people making all the money and all this kind of stuff. Just crazy how that external focus is one of our desires, and DJ, back to your point, Brian talks about being humble. Some people, after getting that, where people look at them differently, they want that. Do you know what I mean? And that's where it tends to really take a different form when it comes to that success. Yeah. Right? 100%. I mean, I think that's critical. And, speaking of that success, we here at Sales Chatter want y'all to be successful. And that comes with understanding the market. So we're going to transition into that's lane of the day. All right,
transition.
The lane of the day. Yeah, what a transition, eh? So the lane of the day. Now, here's the thing. We've got two of them that are kind of happening today in the lane of the day for y'all. So first of all, insight into today's lane of the day. Blueberries are peaking in Georgia, and shipments to the west are picking up to fill in for blueberry losses experienced in California due to a recent heat wave. So we've got a couple of things happening here. Macon, Georgia to Dallas, Texas. This is on a reefer. Rate per mile is $2.33. Fuel surcharge included is $3.14. Contract rates, including fuel, are $2.87. So spot market, including fuel, is way up. Yeah. But year over year, we're still 41 cents lower than we were at this time last year. Wow. The line haul rates are currently at the highest point so far this year. And it's 41%. It's 41 cents higher than the average in May. Now, we look at that. 41, it's pretty interesting how those numbers match. 41% higher than May, but 41% lower year over year. So that today is your that lane of the day. Thank you to Dat IQ for supplying us with that information. Thank you, Dean. Yeah. If y'all have any of your stuff running through that Houston or Macon, Georgia to Dallas or anything of that area, just understand what the rates are doing and who's going to transition to what. So Brian, here we are. We go out every day. We control our controllables. What's next on our task sheet? Can you hear us okay, Brian?
You guys are the greatest, but I can't hear you. I'm having a terrible time with my technology, so I just want to let you know that I'm doing the best I can, but it's sounding like I feel like I'm up in Tom Cruise's, Tom Cruise and Maverick, and the problem is that the noise from 10 Mach is too strong. So I apologize. I get you in spurts.
Okay.
That's okay. So what I did is I sent you a note down below.
He might not see it on his phone. He's probably on his phone, so he might not even see it on his phone.
Okay.
Chat. Let's see. Okay, great.
Get it?
Okay.
I think he's got it.
It says Omaha, Omaha, Omaha.
Oh no. That's Jeff's Omaha.
I think Peyton Manning's on the show. Peyton Manning.
Yeah, where Peyton comes
from. Go to the private chat, Brian.
Yeah, he probably doesn't see that, and he's not hearing us, I don't think.
Let's call another audible here.
Yeah, his technology's struggling over there.
Yeah, let's call another. It's okay. We'll call another audible.
That's okay.
Guys, I am so sorry that I am not getting the stream here.
No worries. No worries. So what's the audible? What are we going with? Are you gonna write it out? Are you writing it? You are. I knew you were. Controlling.
I figured that's the way to do it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. don't know if
I just don't know if Brian.
I wonder if the picture's bad for him.
Yeah, it looks like he's going in and out. So, Brian, I don't know if you can hear us. It's after controlling the controllables. What do we do?
I am so sorry, but I am just not getting any verbal. I'll tell you what we can do. If this will work for you guys, I apologize. I'll come on next week and hopefully be in a place where you can get it better, because I don't want to crush your show. And you guys are so awesome. I will share with you a wonderful story about John Wooden. If hopefully you can hear me, and I'll just end with this and then jump off. The heart of what kind of character he had. In his last year of coaching, his top player was a guy by the now Bill Walton. This was actually not his last year. This was in 1973, finished in 1975. Bill Walton was probably the first or second greatest of all time. About 6'11", red hair, a real character. And he shows up. He's going to be walks into the first practice of the year, and John Wooden had some very specific rules about that he felt were important to basketball. And one was no facial hair. So Walton walks into the first practice of the year, he's got beard and he's got long sideburns.
I've heard this. And
he says, "Coach, with all due respect, a couple of us are seniors here now, and we feel we should be able to wear facial hair if we want to. We're adults." And John Wooden, getting angry, he was a very peaceful guy, walks over to Bill Walton and says, "Bill, I have never been more proud of an athlete on my team. A man has to stand up for what he's doing." And he said, "And we're really going to miss you. We're really going to miss you." 15 minutes later, Bill Walton comes back in full shave.
He dropped out. Yeah.
I've heard that. I've actually heard that story, and that is a great story. I've heard that story. Yes. He ends up walking in, shaved, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there he's back.
Had the utmost respect for him because of who he was.
That's amazing. Brian, I don't know if you can hear us, but we dropped out just as you said Bill Walton walked in shaven.
Hey, I love you guys, but I've got no connection here. It's just so crazy.
No
I
worries.
apologize. I'll come back. You let me know, and I'll make up for it. We'll make it up big time. Talk more John Wooden.
Yes.
Done deal, Brian.
Joy to you. Joy to all you're doing. You guys are the best. And next time, I'm going to be able to hear you, and then we'll really have some fun.
Awesome, my friend. Thank you, Brian. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man.
It's
he's stuck with it. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, when you really dive into John Wooden, and when you dive into some of the parts of this book, for any of you watching or listening, this is truly a book. Like, if you're looking to take that idea of just controlling the controllables, being the best version of you to get to your greatness, to your success, right? And, a buddy of mine, Josh Himes, who I'm looking to get on this show, hopefully next month, he's the owner of motivation.com. One thing he said was, for all of you that have read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, right? Where it's, where his saying, the mind can believe in what the mind can believe and achieve, the mind can believe and conceive, the mind can achieve. And, he talks about success. And one thing that Josh said was, the big thing about success, about our personal greatness, about us as individuals, is our own definition of what success means. DJ, and that's why I wanted you to share that story, because I know at the beginning when you were starting to share, you were like, how is this connected? But it, like Brian said, it's the essence of what it is. Yeah. Your version of success is your version.
Yeah.
Other people's version of success is you drive a $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 car. You stop chewing. Sorry, my dog. I just heard like a real odd chew at the back. She's trying to chew my whiteboard. Dodo bird.
Oh, man.
So it's like that version of success is one of the first things we as individuals really need to sit down and decide, because how many times have you heard of people chasing some of the version of success, right? I want to be a doctor. Why do you want to be a doctor? Well, my dad or mom was a doctor. Yeah. And it's a version of success that isn't your version.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Will some people get there? For sure. For sure. Like, people are doctors. They don't want to be doctors, but their parents were doctors. People are first responders. They don't want to be first responders. People are in military. They don't necessarily want to be in military, but their family has always, done that, right?
Yeah.
There's always those versions.
Yes.
I shared the story with you about Mike, the gentleman that I was training in logistics. And then, I have this huge speech with him, this big hoorah motivational speech. He comes in on Monday, quits, and becomes a police officer, right?
Yeah.
And he went through the academy. He went through everything. He got a job quicker than I've ever heard of anyone getting a first responder job. Now, does that mean because it was his passion? I think so. I think he controlled the controllables and everything else went to the wayside. Like, how many times have we sat up worrying about a situation? Right. And don't get me wrong, it's a very difficult thing not to do.
Yes.
We've all been there,
it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible.
But has it ever changed the result?
Never. No. Most of the problems happen right up here, and they never actually come to existence. It's like they never actually happen.
Yeah. Brian once said to me, the biggest issue we have is the 6 inches between our ears. The biggest issues. And when you think about that for a second, right? Another mentor of mine, Brendan Burchard, says you learn into the person you want to be. And that's why we learn into the individual. Like, here's a big, and I'll say this before we start heading out, DJ. The one thing about success, greatness, our own version of greatness, who we are today will never be, we can't be that person to reach that achievement. We just can't. Now, I'm not saying you change everything, but certain things about you change. Maybe you have a better awareness, you have a better mindset, you have a better strategy, you have a better workflow. Like, because all these things that we have to build into. Brian was talking about being humble. I remember, and I'll bring this up when Brian's on next time. So I created a program called Complete Child Development, and it was a time in my life when I was really focusing on my children's development, and I wanted them to understand environment, understand peer pressure, and all these things. Being in a small town, there's pros and cons to being in a small town, and I won't get into them. But a con is a lot of
everybody
alcohol,
knows
drugs,
everything,
and all these other. Well, everybody knows everything. Things happen in small towns that don't necessarily happen in cities. Things happen in cities that don't necessarily happen in small towns. But so wanted to really help my kids understand all these things that help us be the best version of ourselves. And I remember Gina Hayden, who was Bob Proctor's right hand. She came in on the project to help me. And the first thing she said is, "Are you a learner?" And I said, "Gina, you will never find a person in your life that wants to learn more than me. And do you know, in creating that program," and I'll be complete transparency, I thought I had the framework, like the mapping. I was like, this is killer. And she tore it apart. And you want to talk about eating humble pie when you think something is super
so good,
and then somebody tears it apart. If you're not in the right mindset, it can create so much friction and conflict in your head. And that's why I loved when he talked about John Wooden going to a high school basketball coach, right? Like, you've won 9 championships and you're going to a high school basketball coach. That in itself tells you everyone.
Because you can learn, you can always learn something from somebody. That's the key.
Everyone. Green, seasoned, a year in. Like, everyone you can learn from. And my challenge to everyone watching and listening is, please try and glean something from every interaction you have for the next month. If you do that, you will be amazed at the transition in your life. DJ, we talk about it all the time. Consistency. We consistently bring on people that change people's lives. We consistently learn. We consistently do things. You look at where we've gone to where we are. And it's only because we're open to, how many times do we get messages? Hey, guys, here's a suggestion. Jeff and I go back and forth almost every day. Hey, here's a suggestion for the show. What do you think about changing this? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then you get, and it's all about getting to the next level.
Yes.
Because in the end, we don't do it alone. As much as you might be like, well,
You
I'm a
can't.
salesperson,
You
I do
can't.
it. You can't.
You can't. You really can't.
You can't. And how many operations people, and here's a question for you. And for all you sales reps out there, just think about this for a second. Has your operations team or anyone in your company ever brought you an idea that you dismissed immediately? Because I think we all have. I remember early in my career, my operations team was like, hey, Dan, what do you think about this? And I'm like, hey, time out. This is how we're going to do it. Okay, that's it. Like, there's no question. And I'm actually embarrassed that I took that stance early in my career, but I didn't know any better.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? But there's always people out there, run your operations, like the entire process, run it by 5 different people and just get their thoughts on it. One of it might be like, oh my gosh, that is a gold nugget to make this better and achieve more, do more, be more. Right?
Yes.
That's it. That's all I got to say. DJ.
That's it. I love it. That's it. He's done. Throw the mic. Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. And I didn't want to break my insulin pen, but yeah.
This was a good one. Obviously, the audibles are great. We try to keep this going for you all. So thank you for everybody who did.
We had a lot today, eh? We had quite a few audibles today, brother, but I think we pulled it off.
There's a lot of audibles. Speaking of audible later as well, y'all. You all might have seen. Yes, teamwork makes the dream work. Always. Circle of influence around you. Find those people. Keep them around you. You need them. But speaking of audibles, I'm going to be on Trey's show later, so I'm taking Dan's spot. Come see me there. I'll need your help. But thank you guys for
everything. Will not need anyone's help, DJ.
Thank you guys for joining us live like you do. Thank you for everything. Dan, as always, thank you. Brian, I know he's not here, but man, Brian is.
Well, Brian's already actually sent a text to us. He says, so sorry I could not hear a word. Let me know when I can come back on and make up for this. Love you both and apologize from the bottom of my heart. To make it up for today, please tell your listeners that any who reach out to me via brianbyro.com and tell me they were watching the show will receive a very special 33-minute audio interview I did with Coach Wooden. So go to Brian Byro, BrianBiro.com, and connect with Brian through his website and just say that you were on Sales Chatter.
There you go.
And you missed his show, and he's going to actually send you a very special 33-minute interview he did with Coach Wooden. Now,
so anybody who's still with us now, check it out. If you see this on a replay, check it out. I'm sure it's an amazing. You'll get stuff from it.
Well, I can tell you, DJ, I've got all of his stuff, and it's powerful. Yeah. Listen, there you go, brother. Bring us in.
All it takes is one idea. Dan, you say it all the time. All it takes is one applied idea from changing your life.
Idea.
Literally. That's all it takes. You could get it from that interview. Don't miss out if you all are watching. But again, thank you for joining us weekly like you do. Sales Chatter Live, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day right with us. Get in the mood. Tomorrow, check us out. Don't miss it. Weekly, Friday.
Wins and lessons.
Wins and lessons. What are your lessons this week, y'all? Audibles were fun. Quote to take us out. Man, the show was going so great with Brian. I thought this is going to be great at the end. And he hopefully he catches this, but this Brian, this couldn't have worked out better. Leadership is not an expertise. Leadership is a constant education. Keep learning.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and